All right, what's up, government class? Mr. Kilgore back here making another YouTube video lesson for you here. Today we're covering the Constitution. Okay, I'm going to talk very quickly because I want to get through this video very quickly and make sure it's 10 minutes or under because I don't want you to sit here watching a video for 30 minutes of me talking. So, first thing you need to know, in the Google Classroom, you have already found this video because you're watching it, but there are two other items along with this video in this assignment. The first are a copy of the slides, which you see on the board behind me and I'm holding printed in my hand. The second is a Google Doc with questions. Those are your notes from this lesson. So you're going to answer these questions as I go through this video. The questions can also be answered using the slides. This is what you're going to submit back to me, just the doc in the Google Classroom. Okay? So let's get into it. We're into the Constitution now, which is the framework of how our government works today. Okay, the basic Constitution was created and ratified. We're going to talk a lot about the amendments to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Those aren't in the original Constitution, but as they are called amendments, they are changes. They were added later on. So we're just going to cover the basic Constitution at this point, and we are not going to do proper justice to it in a short video, but I'm going to go through this. And we're going to get more into this as we get down the road and you guys get back here into class. Okay? So, the first slide here is a chart showing you the outline of the Constitution. I'm not going to go in on this. You can look at this for yourself. But there is a preamble, and then there are 7 articles to the Constitution that we are going to go over here very quickly. But this chart is just a reference for you to come back to. The preamble lists 6 goals to the Constitution, okay? The preamble lists 6 goals for the Constitution, so that's the first question on your notes. They are to form a more perfect union, which basically means a better country, to establish justice or create laws, to ensure domestic tranquility. Domestic means home, tranquility means peace, so peace at home, to provide a common defense or a national military, a national defense, which in the Articles of Confederation, which you did a little work on already, the states had their own military and militia, and there wasn't really a national defense. To promote the general welfare or the basic good for everybody, and to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, meaning basically liberty means freedom. It's basically establishing the freedoms that we as people here in the United States are going to have under, this new form of government, okay? So, there are 7 articles. Basically, that's what that slide's telling you. We're going to skip right over that, and we're going to get right into Article 1. So, what does Article 1 of the Constitution create? It created the legislative branch, which is our Congress today, okay? So you guys are aware of what Congress is. So, the legislative branch is made up of 2 houses. There's the House of Representatives and the Senate. Okay, they are the 2 houses of Congress. The main job of Congress is to make laws, okay? And the next question, are proposed laws are called what? They're called bills. So a bill can be proposed in Congress by an individual or a group, and it is written, it is amended in there, and then it is voted on. And if it is passed or ratified in, say, the House of Representatives by a 51% or greater margin, it'll then go over to the other house, which would be Senate, and have to pass at a majority there as well. If it does, it then goes to the president to be signed into law or vetoed and thrown back into Congress. But the main job of Congress is to pass laws and to make budgets and things like that, okay? We're going to move on to Article 2. Told you we're going to be quick. Article 2 of Congress created the executive branch. Now, there was not an executive branch under the Articles of Confederation, so where the Constitution is going to begin to differ here is in creating the different branches of government, which was one of the issues with the Articles of Confederation. There was just basically a legislative branch of government, and it was very weak and didn't have a lot of power. So with the executive branch, this was new. Okay, the executive branch, their job is to enforce laws. So who's going to be the head of that? There was a lot of ideas bounced around. What they came to was that they were going to create a single person which is the President of the United States, that they were going to give the power of the executive branch to. The Founding Fathers felt that one singular person that we could look at as our leader would be good for the country. Instead of having a group run the executive branch, we would have somebody, we would elect them the President of the United States, and all of those things, are laid out here in Article 2, laying out the executive branch, okay? So as you guys know, the presidents are reelected every 4 years. They are the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, so they make all the decisions when it comes to that, or they have the final say when it comes to that. But there are a lot of checks and balances in there that we don't have time to get into in a 10-minute video. This is just kind of a basic rundown here. But the one thing to know about the president is the duties of the president aren't really laid out in the executive branch. A lot of that, our first president, George Washington, kind of figured out on the fly. He did the job a certain way, and a lot of those procedures and things that he did along the way were mimicked and copied down the road that are a lot of what the president's duties are today. But the Article 2, the executive branch of the Constitution, is very vague, and a lot of it was up to interpretation of the presidents for how the job needed to be done. Okay? So, moving on, Article 3 of the Constitution created the judicial branch of the government. The judicial branch, again, the Articles of Confederation had only a legislative branch, so the judicial branch is something that's going to be new. So, I ask you, what does Article 3 of the Constitution create? It created the judicial branch, and it says, what court was created to settle disputes between states and have the final say on all matters of the Constitution? You guys are aware of it. It is called the Supreme Court. Okay, the Supreme Court is the highest court of the United States. It is a federal court that is run by the judicial branch of the government. And one of the biggest things that they do is they have the final say on all matters of the Constitution. They uphold the constitutionality of laws here in the United States. So things that are presented to the Supreme Court oftentimes are interpretations of the Constitution, and Supreme Court rulings are often used as laws down the road because they set a precedent that later court cases can use in court if it helps them. Excuse me. Okay? Lower level courts can, issues and judgments in lower level courts can be appealed up to the Supreme Court in many cases. But really the main thing that they do is they focus on upholding the constitutionality of laws here in the United States. So that's going to be Article 3. Moving on to Article 4. Article 4 lays out the states and the states' rights. Okay, so it ensures that states' laws are respected. Each state has to honor the laws of other states. So when I have you guys here in class, we could really get into this in a lot of detail. So this makes it difficult. But the federal government has things that they create laws for. And we're going to get into that a little more in a second. But anything that they don't cover, those things are kicked down to the states for them to create their own laws. So states have different laws. As an example, an easy one to understand is driver's license. Okay? Here in Pennsylvania, you can't get your permit until you're 16. You have to have your permit for 6 months. After you've had that and you've met all the criteria, you can go get your driver's license. In Ohio, you can get your driver's license on your 16th birthday. You can actually get your permit when you're 15 and a half and have it for 6 months. But if you have an Ohio driver's license and you get it on your 16th birthday and you drive into Pennsylvania, even though according to Pennsylvania law, you wouldn't be able to have your driver's license yet, we as Pennsylvanians respect your Ohio driver's license. So states have to respect the laws of other states, even though it could differ from the policies of that state. So that's Article 4. So Article 4 of the Constitution was created to preserve states' rights. Okay, flipping ahead. We are into Article 5. Article 5 of the Constitution creates the process for the Constitution amending. Okay, Article 5 lays out the procedures by which we can amend the Constitution. Okay, so in all their smarts there, the founding fathers, they understood that the Constitution was going to have to be amended. That over the years, as things evolved, as our society changed, some changes, additions, subtractions to the Constitution would have to take place. They knew it would need to be amended, so they created the process and procedures by which the Constitution would be amended, okay? So, I asked you what percentage of states have to approve the amendment for it to go into effect. You could put 75%, or you could put 3/4, 3/4. 3/4 of the states have to approve any proposed Constitution for it to go into effect, so that it is in fact the will of the people that the Constitution is changed. Okay? Now we're going to get into those amendments in a later video, but for now just understand Article 5 laid out the process by which we amend the Constitution. Article 6, the supremacy of the Constitution. So according to Article 6 of the Constitution, can state laws conflict with the Constitution? The answer is no. And there we go back to, the judicial branch in the Supreme Court upholding the constitutionality of not only federal, but state and local laws. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, is the way it's written. That's the language. Meaning the Constitution is the overarching blueprint by which we follow here in the United States. However, state laws, so long as they don't conflict with the Constitution, states can create their own laws. But they can't create laws that conflict with what is in the Constitution and the amendments to the Constitution. So if it's in the Constitution as a federal law, states can't create laws that conflict with it. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. If a law is created that conflicts with the Constitution and federal law takes precedent, okay? And those things usually end up in the Supreme Court. And now we get into Article 7, which is ratification. Article 7 just laid out the process for how the Constitution would actually be approved. We're not really going to get into that because that's another long lesson, and it's too long for this video. Just know that Article 7 established the procedures for the ratification of the Constitution. So a very basic and a very quick overview of the Constitution. You have the notes to help, or you have the slides to help you. You have the notes to answer. That's what I want you to do for now. Okay, so I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody has a good day and that this video is helpful in some fashion. I'll see everybody soon. Take care.